The government of Cuba rejected the new U.S. sanctions against the island for alleged human rights violations during the July 11 demonstrations. Madagascar had foiled an attempt to assassinate President Andry Rajoelina and arrest 6 people, 2 of whom, according to diplomat sources, were French nationals. One day before the opening of the Olympic Games, Tokyo once again broke its record for daily coronavirus cases in the last 6 months. Hello, welcome to teleSUR English. I am Janet Perez Moya from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. This is From the South. Stay with us. The government of Cuba rejected the new U.S. sanctions against the island for alleged human rights violations during the July 11 demonstrations. Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez described the actions as unfounded and slanderous while condemning Washington's interference in internal affairs through disinformation campaigns to justify the aggression against the country. Rodriguez said that if Washington were concerned about the welfare of the Cuban people, it should put an end to the blockade as offered by Joe Biden. The State Department moved forward in imposing heavy penalties in Cuban authorities for alleged aggressions committed against demonstrators. Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel visited several municipalities in Havana to assess the work related to the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. The head of state witnesses the operation of the vaccination center located in the neighborhood of Romerillo in the municipality of Playa. There, Díaz-Canel held talks with the residents of the community and received reports of the vaccination in the area. The president also visited the Molecular Immunology Center, where several nations' medicine students in the treatment protocols against COVID-19 are produced. The president hailed the work of the center workers and assured that the nation continues to advance successfully in the fight against COVID-19 and the effects of the pandemic in spite of the coercive measures imposed by the United States. President Díaz-Canel also visited the power plant and maintenance company in Havana's municipality of Marianao to recognize the workers of the company who restored the power plant's service in the face of the recent power failures in the country.
When we are reaffirming our revolutionary convictions, when we are defending the homeland, the revolution, at times when they have, as I said on another occasion, tried to kill us again and here we are alive, it is very important for one to feel supported, for all of us to feel supported, to feel as part of the workers' family that you represent today, and also because you have contributed in one of the fundamental tasks in which we are involved today, one of which has affected us the most during this time when we have shortages, when there is a lack of supplies, due to all the things that you know, the blockade, the strengthening of the measures imposed by the Trump administration.
In Ecuador, riots in Guayaquil and Latacunga prisons leave at least 21 deaths and over 50 wounded. Ecuadorian prison authorities reported riots at the penitentiary center in the city of Guayaquil. The incidents left 8 deaths and 3 policemen injured. Meanwhile, in the social rehabilitation center in Cotopaxi, in Latacunga, where a riot in the medium and maximum security wards had place. So far, authorities report 13 inmates deaths and 35 wounded. 6 policemen were also injured during the riots in Cotopaxi. Elite police units regained the control in the 2 prisons. Peru's National Jury of Elections say President-elect Pedro Castillo is to receive this Thursday the presidential credential for the 2021-2026 period. The electoral authority will hand over the credential to Pedro Castillo with 6 days to go before the presidential inauguration. In this context, Castillo met with outgoing President Francisco Sagasti in private for 2 hours to begin the transition of the government. After the meeting, Castillo said the people need to know the situation of the state institutions. Castillo takes over the presidency after defeating Keiko Fujimori in the 2nd round and dismantling, together with the people, a campaign promoted by Fujimori's supporters to hide the results of the June 6 elections. In Haiti, proceedings for the funeral of President Jovenel Moïse, assassinated in early morning of July 7, are underway. The First Lady, Martine Moïse, together with her children, received on Wednesday the condolence of several political personalities in the garden of the Haitian National Pantheon Museum. During the ceremony, the widow said that the family will pay for the funeral ceremony to be held this Thursday in the city of Cap Haitien in the country's north. In the midst of the event, Haitians blocked roads of Jovenel's hometown to demand justice in the case of his assassination. Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador on Thursday urged Israel to cooperate in strengthening a former top investigation wanted in connection with the disappearance of 43 students in 2014. Mexico wants Israel to arrest Tomás Cerón, who head the Criminal Investigation Agency over allegations of serious irregularities in the probe into one of the country's worst human rights tragedies. In January, Mexico said that Cerón was trying to obtain asylum in Israel, complicating extradition efforts. Cerón is accused of kidnapping, torturing suspects, manipulating evidence, and embezzling around 50 million of public funds.
I hope that the Israeli government will act with respect for human rights, because we are requesting the extradition of this public official for acts of torture, among other things.
In Uruguay, the union board that coordinates state entities began a strike this Thursday to defend employment, personnel, and budgets, with the central focus on the parliament. They denounced that many public services are at risk with empty office. They also denounced that there are agreements on concessions with private companies, which they accuse of handing over the sovereignty. They point out that this is a crucial moment to show unity and solidarity. We will take a short break now, but don't forget to follow me on my Twitter account at Perezmoya TeleSUR. Don't go away. Welcome back. Madagascar said Thursday it had foiled an attempt to assassinate President Andry Rajoelina and arrest 6 people, 2 of whom, according to diplomat sources, were French nationals. In a statement, prosecutors Bertin said evidence showed these individuals devised a plan to eliminate and neutralize various Madagascan figures, including the head of state. The statement gave no details about the operation. Public Security Minister Rodelis Randarianson said the police had information about this affair for months, adding that police officers acted swiftly to make simultaneous arrests in different locations. Police forces also seized money and weapons in the different locations where the arrests were made, as well as documents that prove the detainees' involvement.
According to all the investigations we have made, the arrested persons are involved in the attempted assassination of the head of state of Madagascar. The arrests followed all the norms. The arrests were not made by mercenaries, but by the police. 6 people were arrested. Among them, 2 Malagasy are binationals. There is also a foreigner, and the others are Malagasy.
Russia welcomed the agreement reached by Germany and the United States on the operation of the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline. Several political sectors consider the agreement between the United States and Russia a victory for Russia. The agreement between Berlin and Washington on the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline sets out a series of measures to support Ukraine and European energy security. The pipeline project, rejected by Washington for years, aims to transport up to 55 billion cubic meters of natural gas per year from Russia to Germany via a bottom of the Baltic Sea. Thousands of government supporters gathered at the Meskel Square in Addis Ababa on Thursday to celebrate the second filling of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. Those joining the rally also made a show of support for the Ethiopian military while denouncing rebels in the country's Tigray region. The dam has caused controversy with Egypt and Sudan being in dispute with the building on filling it. The issue is due to the discussed by the UN Security Council amid fears that conflict could be sparked by the project. The demonstrations organized by the city administration of Addis Ababa is the first public rally after the national election held in June. Despite the blockade imposed by the Western world, Iran inaugurated an oil export terminal that avoids the Hormuz Straits. President Hassan Rouhani announced that the new facility is located in the coastal city of Yazd in the southern province of Hormozgan. The project's first phase is expected to transfer 300,000 barrels of oil per day. However, it is estimated that the terminal will have the capacity to load about 100,000 tons of crude oil when it is fully operational. The new crude oil export terminal is located in the Gulf of Oman and was built to avoid ships having to pass through the strategic Strait of Hormuz.
Today is a great historic day for the Iranian nation. We started the operation of the 1,000-kilometer pipeline transferring crude oil from Gore to Yazd and the export operation in the Makran terminal region.
On Thursday, the Syrian Arab Army Air Defense repelled an Israeli aggression with missiles on Al-Qusair area in Homs countryside. According to military authorities, the aggression took place at around 1 a.m. There were no casualties and only material damage were reported. The Syrian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Expatriates states that the Israeli airstrikes take place within the framework of the systematic Israeli policy based on state terrorism and continuous support for terrorist groups. On Monday, the air defense of the Syrian Arab Army confronted also an Israeli aggression with missiles on some posts in the vicinity of Asafira area in Aleppo countryside and shot down most of the hostile missiles. In China, at least 33 people were killed and 8 more are missing due to the floods in the central province of Henan. The natural disaster area affected a total of more than 3 million inhabitants, 375,000 of whom were evacuated. The direct economy impact is more than 180 million US dollars. The Chinese government allocated a fund of 15 million US dollars to begin with the rescue and recovery efforts. We stay in the Asian continent, where millions of people have been affected by heavy rains and floods triggered by climate change. In India, heavy rainfall has left 30 people dead and the city of Mumbai paralyzed. In Pakistan, 14 citizens have lost their lives and another 20 are injured due to the storm. Meanwhile, Indonesia registered 20 deaths and 30 missing. Chancellor Angela Merkel stressed the need to speed up the fight against climate change as the death toll from devastating floods in Germany reached 1,076.
This means that a lot has happened, and we should not pretend that nothing has been done, but it has been measured. And it's true that not enough has been done to reach the aim of staying well under 2 degrees and as close to 1.5 degrees as possible. That is not just true of Germany, but of many countries across the world, which is why we need to increase the tempo.
The Russian military joined the fight against the raging wildfires in the country's Sakta-Yakutia region Thursday. The Russian Air Force made 18 flights, dropping 36 tons of water on the blazes in the Gorny districts. The vast Sakta-Yakutia region of Siberia has had a long spell of extremely hot and dry weather this summer, with temperatures reaching 39 degrees Celsius and setting records for several days. The fires have showed the Yakutia cities, towns, and villages in Tichmos, forcing authorities to briefly suspend flights at the regional capital's airport. The defense minister deployed transport planes and helicopters to help douse of flames. More stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back. One day before the opening of the Olympic Games, Tokyo once again broke its records for daily coronavirus cases in the last 6 months. Thursday's 1,900 cases were the worst daily figure since the 2000 reports on the January 15. On July 12, Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga declared a state of emergency for Tokyo and its metropolitan region, but the daily infection rate has continued to rise. The restrictions, which includes banning the sale of alcohol and reducing the opening hours for bars and restaurants, will remain in place until August 22. The Olympic Games end on August 8. On Thursday, China described a World Health Organization proposal to audit Chinese labs as part of the further investigation into the pandemic's origin in China as arrogant and lacking of common sense.
To be honest, when I first saw the WHO's plan for second stage investigation of COVID-19 origins, I was extremely surprised. This plan takes the hypothesis of China's violation of laboratory procedures causing virus leakage as one of the research priorities. From this point, I can feel that disrespect for common sense and arrogance towards science revealed in this plan.
Russian President Vladimir Putin expressed his frustration with the West's hesitation in approving Russian coronavirus vaccines during a cabinet meeting on Wednesday.
Of course, it is hard to understand many of our colleagues who are continuing to differentiate between their own pandemic and someone else's, in particular, slowing down the registration of our vaccines, which are unquestionably safe and effective. I hope we can cooperate in this work after all.
Thousands of people demonstrated on Wednesday in Athens and other Greek cities against plans to make COVID-19 vaccinations mandatory for all health workers, with police using tear gas and water cannon to disperse some protesters. On the eve of a parliamentary vote on the government decree, protesters held up posters saying no to mandatory vaccination and freedom, along with Orthodox crosses and Greek flags. According to police authorities, over 3,000 people demonstrated in Athens and more than 2,000 people demonstrated in the country's second largest city. In Cuba, over 135,000 inhabitants of Pinar del Rio municipality began receiving the Abdala vaccine this week as part of the clinical intervention against COVID-19 that will cover the entire province. Public health authorities explained that the municipality of Pinar del Rio reported the highest number of cases and the highest rate of transmission of the disease. They also state that vaccination began in the health area of Hermanos Cruz, which has the highest infection rate within the municipality and a population of around 50,000 over 19 years old. Ecuadorian health authorities have confirmed 40 cases of the COVID-19 Delta strain in the country. Most of these cases are located in a province bordering Peru. Minister of Health confirmed the number of cases and stressed that the Delta strain not only multiplies the number of cases rapidly, but also increases medical complications, so the mortality risk is much higher. The minister also reiterated that the only way to avoid these complications or a worse outcome is to complete the vaccination schedule. Therefore, she urged the citizens to participate in the vaccination campaigns as soon as possible. The government of Mexico sent pilot packaging tests of the Sputnik V vaccine to the Gamaleya National Research Institute, located in Russia, to be analyzed by qualified specialists. The shipment was authorized after the necessary procedures for its transfers were complete, since the pilot tests of components 1 and 2 were kept at the National Institute of Virology. In a press release, the Pharmaceutical Institute highlighted the successful packaging of the components, where 10 liters of the active substance were used. We have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. For TeleSUR English, I am Janet Perez Moya. Thank you for watching.